Hello, it's Ian. I'm here to announce a new project that I'm going to be hoping to do. I want to sort of get into a more video essay format rather than a review format. And so I finally acquired the last piece of a collection that I need to start on that video essay. So the last piece is this. It is Wonder Woman Mission's End, the final volume of Greg Rucka's first run on Wonder Woman. And the project's going to be going through all of Greg Rucka's significant work on Wonder Woman. There is one piece that I am not going to be covering in my project, and that's the Blackest Night Wonder Woman. The reason I'm not going to be covering that is because I have it digitally, but so I've read it, but it doesn't really fit thematically or continuity-wise into what Rucka did with Diana either the first or the second times. It has a lot of stuff to recommend it. It's drawn by Nicholas Scott, but it's very disjointed because each piece is sort of its own piece and they don't really resolve. They're all feeding into other parts of the event of Blackest Night, which is a shame because Rucka did one of the best short tie-ins to an event when he did Convergence, The Question. It's 2 issues and it was intensely powerful. But the Blackest Night Wonder Woman is not of that caliber. It just doesn't fit, in my opinion, except for the fact that he uses a really nicely rendered by Nicholas Scott version of his Aphrodite. But I'll show you the collection I've got. So we, of course, have our Wonder Woman by Greg Rucka, Book 1. This contains the famous Hikatea, his first book, with Wonder Woman in a major sense, and also the first basically 2 trades of his run. Most famous, of course, being Down to Earth, which is the first one, and it's the one that's reprinted most often. There was a Wonder Woman collection that collected, I think, the first George Perez, it was Down to Earth, the first Rucka run. The Circle, the first volume of Gail Simone's run, and then the, I think it was Blood, the first of the New 52 by Ryan Azzarello and Cliff Chang. This is Wonder Woman by Greg Rucka, Volume 2. Trivia. Did I get both of these signed? I did have the good fortune to meet J.G. Jones at 2 different Comic-Cons, Baltimore, both of them Baltimore. But I am not remembering if I got this one signed or not. I know I got this one signed, so I'll show you the Hikatea, because of course everyone wants to see the Hikatea signed. J.G. Jones said that he suggested this cover, and then Greg Rucka either accidentally or on purpose stole it, and so he was kind of playing he was playing with the fans. Now, I actually have an interesting, I just found these 2. This is Down to Earth, the first volume, and then the 3rd volume. I randomly found these at a comic shop here in Northern Virginia. They are, I really hate this cover. It's Greg Land. It's not bad Land, but it's not Birds of Prey Land. When Land was penciling covers and some interiors on Birds of Prey was way better. This is just kind of getting into that over-rendered and overly posed goofiness. And this is J.G. Jones. I much prefer it. Now, you'll notice that both of them are very well-endowed. one of the big things about Wonder Woman, one of the big battles about Wonder Woman is how sexualized she is or should be, what that means. Wonder Woman's always a very political figure, and interestingly, I feel like I have weird opinions on Wonder Woman because I'm not a feminist, but I really appreciate Wonder Woman as an ideal of feminism, like a beautiful dream of what I wish feminism was, but I don't think it is, so that's why I'm not a feminist. And of course, again, now the reason I have Missions End, and if I don't know if you can see this, but this is in newsprint or non-glossy paper, whereas the books 1 have this glossy paper. Let's see if I can get some shine. Yeah, there. You can see it glowing off my computer screen. It's a glossy paper, which has much better color hold, but they haven't printed and haven't even announced a book 3, which really irritates me. Missions End actually contains a lot of more issues than these other 2 trades. You can see that it's much thicker. I think part of the problem may be that it didn't sell. The first 2 books didn't sell. I think another problem is they're not sure what to do with it. Do they just do a reprint of Missions End? Do they add Blackest Night, even though it has nothing to do with the rest of Rucka's run, except it's by Rucka? What do they do for Volume 3? But a lot of the reprints have stalled. Birds of Prey stalled like 2 years ago. They did 3 volumes with Chuck Dixon's run. They never got to Gil Simone's run, which is one of my favorite runs of comics ever. It is fantastic. But they just stopped. They didn't get to it. They're still going on Nightwing. They seem to have stopped on Robin, which is really disappointing because they're getting to the stuff that was never really collected in Robin by Chuck Dixon. And as my favorite character, Stephanie Brown, is mostly appearing in Robin for a lot of her run. That's really a bummer. I have 2 more trades that we're going to be looking at for weird reasons. The first is Sensation Comics featuring Wonder Woman Volume 2. None of these stories are actually written by Rucka. This is only here because the first story, Generations, written by Michael Yelenic, who I believe also helped write the Wonder Woman animated movie from 2008, which is going to be on the new DC Universe app. Plug completely unpaid for, but I'm very excited about it. This is by Drew Johnson, the artist who did most of the first 2, I guess 3 trades of Greg Rucka's run. I really like the way he draws Diana, and he worked on this a couple years after he stopped working on Greg Rucka's run, and he said that this was an inventory issue. Now, an inventory issue is something where the editors commission a story, like a one-shot, so it's self-contained, and they pay for it, and then they tell the writers to make it so it will fit anywhere. And this actually recently happened in Detective Comics. Detective Comics 982 was an inventory issue, not connected to what went before it or went after it, self-contained, completely different art team. And Drew Johnson, on his DeviantArt, posted most of the pages of this story without dialogue, so that's why I bought this. If it were online free, I would just read it there, but having the letters in the story is really worthwhile. And it's a really nice story. But he said that it was something he had a lot of time for. So usually you have to do a page a day, and so there's not a lot of time to do rendering and really work on your poses and appeal. And Drew Johnson said that he just really pushed every artistic aspect of this. And so seeing this as sort of the ideal of what Rucka's Wonder Woman could have looked like if they'd given Drew Johnson enough time. So the other trade I have is Wonder Woman Year 1. This is part of the Rebirth run, and I'll get to more on this in a second. You can tell because it has the Rebirth swoop banner on the top. This is, I don't know if you can see this, but it's a little damaged. I got this used for $5. This story is fantastic. It is, I believe, the best origin of Wonder Woman available. And this includes the movie, the animated movie, any other origins I've read in comics. This is just fantastic. Partly because it is drawn by the amazing Nicola Scott, who's wanted to draw this story, the origin of Wonder Woman, for a long time. DC wouldn't let Rucka do it for 10 years, and that's part of why he left, because he was going to do it as part of the Earth 1 series, then they gave it to Grant Morrison, and Rucka was like, I did so many projects for you that I didn't it's not that I didn't like them, but I did them because you promised I would be able to do this. So he finally got to do it with Rebirth, and so I got this trade because it's really nice to lend out, and it has all the variant covers. And last thing I want to show you is all of the Rebirth I have in this area. I have the, I double side them, and I do get variant covers. As you can see, this is Frank Cho variant cover. This one's especially fun because I got it signed by Frank Cho and the colorist, Laura Martin, who's one of my favorites from Astonishing X-Men. Really big fan of her work. She's just one of the best working in the business today. And I have all of the Wonder Woman, all 25 issues of the Wonder Woman, including, and I have some extras. Let's see if I can find the extras. I have the showcase. So this is one that contains a prose story with a couple illustrations. This is a 75th anniversary special. And it has a prose story that ties into what was going on in the comic. I also have, where is it? The annual. The annual actually, I think, is one of the few missteps in the run. It contains a story that was supposed to be longer, but I think that either Rucka or Scott couldn't finish it, and so it sort of, it really feels unfinished. And I think he finished it technically in this, the holiday special, where he did it with artist Bilquis Evely, who's now doing Sandman Universe. She was sort of, she's a Brazilian artist. She's been working for a while, but she got her sort of big 2 debut with Wonder Woman when she took over from Nicola Scott when she went back to work on Black Magic with Rucka. And she is one of the finds of DC Rebirth. She is a huge talent, incredibly appealing, just great art. And then, of course, I've got this Wonder Woman 700. This is not part of the run. We're not really going to be looking at that. I just like the fact that I have Wonder Woman 700. It's fun. Alternate cover by Tony Daniel for issue number 34. The number 600 was actually the end of Gail Simone's run and the beginning of J. Michael Straczynski's run, which was basically just a 12-issue miniseries. But we're not going to be talking about any of those. We're just going to be talking about Rucka. We're talking about Rucka, the first one from about 2004 to 2006, and the second run from 2016 to 2017. 25 issues plus a couple stories. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be reading. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do this, but I want to be reading and collecting thoughts by video blog and then ending up with some final sort of analysis video that I hope to be sort of like a self-contained video essay that you don't have to watch the sort of preparatory videos for. So that's my plan. Until next time, I hope you enjoy my other videos.